man. You are absolutely right. One of my favorite things about it is, obviously I don't know too much about everything that went on backstage and whatnot, but I do know. But I did hear a lot about it. But the thing that I love about Jim Ross, especially listening to him, the brother just knows how to tell a story.
Yes. 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 It was masterful.
Yeah, not to mention, and I'll tell everybody all the time, my favorite team as far as commentators, good old Jim Ross and the Hall of Famer Jerry King Lawler.
Yes.
Nope.
As
far as I'm concerned, you couldn't get better than that.
No, you couldn't. And they played off of each other. They complemented each other. And there was no one better for my money in the business than Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross. There was things that he was subjected to that was out of pocket, but he handled it with grace and style. The disrespect by the chump Ed Ferrara in WCW.
Right.
And I suppose that's probably why they went out of business and no one wants to see a WCW pay-per-view anymore. But, how they treated him. And then, of course, WWE didn't make it any better, with their Dr. Heine, where they, disrespected the man's, colon cancer condition. I thought that was out of line. But old Jim Ross, he didn't resort to going to the dirt sheet writers on the internet. He didn't resort to falling out or suing McMahon. I mean, the things that they did to that guy on screen were really disrespectful. But he handled it. I'm sure a lot of other people would have handled it differently. But he handled it with style and class and grace, and that's why they had to that's why they had to keep calling him back. Because make no mistake about it, they can do and say what they want to, but Jim Ross was the real thing.
Yep.
Jim Ross was the real thing, And
still is.
Yeah. They made all them jokes about the damn barbecue sauce and the black hat, but Jim Ross was the man, and he was the real thing. And this era of wrestling, when I hear you talk about wrestling, it seems to me you get excited about everything except for WWE. And that's telling me something. Yeah, is that obvious? You get excited about everything other than, it could probably be two pits locking up. You would be more excited about that than WWE. That's a sign that something is going on in wrestling. And if that's going on in wrestling and a man like Jim Ross is leaving, that's really telling you that's what the industry and the business is coming to. And with that being said, they have tremendous talent, but they have a lot of work to do. Because as you very well know, Dynamite Truth, during the Attitude Era, the ratings for pro wrestling skyrocketed.
Yeah.
They skyrocketed. During the Clinton impeachment trial, they didn't want to discuss that shit about the Clinton impeachment trial. They wanted to see what DX was going to do. They right. They're more interested in whether Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to stun Vince McMahon than they were in the Clinton impeachment trial. So, and to be fair, I have my own assessment of the Attitude Era. To me, it was like the Charles Dickens. It was the best of times and the worst of times, but that's another subject. But
all right.
To see the turn that WWE has taken, and when you look at it from a historical point of view, when you look at it from wrestling for the last 30 years, most people would not agree that it's a good turn. They're hoping that the WWE will come out of it, but a lot of the veterans in the industry are really saying that it needs to go away for about 10 or 12 years and start over again. But when I hear your excitement when you were talking about this Camel Bell match, and then before that, a few weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago, you were the event that you attended, an underground wrestling event that you attended.
SCW, the Underground.
Yep, the Underground. Those wrestling events that you are attending shows me that there's something happening in the Underground. There's something happening in the independents, and that the WWE and TNA. I don't even mention TNA anymore. For my money, there's only one promotion.
Let me tell you what it is. I can tell you what it is. See, last week, JMX and myself, we talked about passion. Havoc even rejoined us on the broadcast to talk with us about it, and we was naming a few wrestlers and a few other things about in regards to passion. Do you think they have it? Do you not? Now, I don't like questioning people's passion, but as a fan, I can say when I don't see it, when I'm not seeing it. So I'm not going to question whether or not somebody had passion to get into the business or whatnot, because I wasn't there for their story. But so long as you're on that TV screen, or you're handling your business, or you're supposed to be handling your business in front of me, I can see if you really want to be there or not. You know.
Well, yeah.
And that's what was talked about. Sorry, but yeah, that was one of the things I was talking about last week. And the thing is that I see with SCW. With the blue-collar wrestling that I saw this past Sunday, I saw passion. I mean, here you are in a building with about 50+ people, and this place is rocking out like an arena. I mean, when that match went on, when Keith stood over there, and folks was chanting USA, USA. When Devashi took the belt that he stole from the referee, he sat on my table. Now, you know, I feel kind of bad because I handed him that same belt that he used on Keith, but Keith turned around, took that belt, and started beating him with it. I mean, the match was off the chain. The match was off the chain. But these guys, literally, blood, sweat, tears, everything. You saw it. You felt it, man. The emotion was there. I need to work on my journal. I need to work on my speech and my journalistic aspect, because right now I'm talking from a fan who is just real, who was just excited. I came away and took away something special, man. It was an awesome all around event. I felt like I was sitting there watching what a pay-per-view should be. And not to mention, these guys do shows every week. So for a match, the matches of that caliber that I saw, especially with Chief Atakatula and Buddy Holloway, Damon Sykes, Buddy Holloway and Damon Sykes I actually have, if my computer would be so nice to me, and it's not, because I'm still not connected, but I was going to play some audio clips of an interview that I did with the both of them. Damon Sykes thought it was cool to push me off screen. Now, I'll admit, as a fan, that was cool, but, you know, here I am doing best I can to make him look good, and he's been a douchebag pushing me off the screen. He's kind of psychotic, so I'm choosing my words a little carefully, but I ain't here.
Well, Dynamite Truth, that's what wrestling is that's what it's supposed to do to you. You hear you hear the excitement in your voice, the passion that you felt from those matches. That's what wrestling is supposed to do. That's its purpose. That is its intended action. That's how it's supposed to work. So when you get something like that, you're seeing something special. Not to beat a dead horse, but we talk about ECW. ECW committed some rights, and it committed some wrongs. Yeah. But one thing you can never say about ECW, you cannot say that ECW didn't have passion. You just can't say that.
You know what's funny?
When they did, what's up?
I was gonna say what's funny was before I left to that event, I said, you know what? Let me amp myself up. So I watched ECW One Night Stand.
Yeah, I was just going there. I was just you hit where I was just about to go.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
When they did ECW One Night Stand, even though the lead up to it could have been better, but the way they led up to the pay-per-view and the advertisements and promotions for the pay-per-view, I thought that was excellent. But the actual pay-per-view itself was excellent, and it did numbers. And then after I saw ECW, the 2005 ECW One Night Stand, when I saw that promotion, when I saw that pay-per-view, there was no way in hell I could go back to watching Monday Night Raw. It was just impossible. I could not go back. I could not go back from chocolate cake to wheat bread with chocolate icing. I couldn't. You can't do it. So I can recall an article, and it was an article from a sports, and I never will forget it. And it was a female, and she said, "I finally understand what's wrong with what I've been watching." And she was referring to Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. "I finally understand what's wrong with what I've been watching." Now, when a dead promotion, now it's 2013, and they still chanting ECW.
Yep.
It's over 10 years later, and people are still chanting ECW. Now, if a dead promotion can arouse more passion out of your diehard fans than you can, and you never went out of business, that should tell you something about your product.
Yep.
And I'll just leave it at that. Now, again, ECW wasn't utopia. There were a lot of things that ECW did that could be counted as wrong, but they did a whole lot of right, too. So when you start talking about passion and you start talking about feeling that passion and you start seeing that, you see, you can't bullshit the fans.
You really can't.
You can't bullshit the fans. And I'll give you another classic ECW moment, and, then we can move on. And I wasn't a fan of this pay-per-view, but I did like the Rob Van Dam and the John Cena match. And here's why. John Cena came to the ring, and this will be emblazoned in my head. John Cena came to the ring. You know how they do their, the little fan play. They throw their caps and their shirts.
Yeah, I already know
his damn shirt out to the audience, and they threw that shit back. We don't want your like punk ass shirt, cuz. Yeah, and the last time he did it, the guy on one of the lower rows caught it, and the audience is screaming, "Throw it back! Throw it back!" And I will never forget that when they threw the shirt, I think somebody down there on the lower row caught it and threw it back to him, and there's a black dude, a bald black dude, giving Cena both fingers and telling him where he could go, and the look that was on that brother's face. You see what I'm saying? The look that was on his... Now, John Cena's supposed to be a face, but the passion from that audience and the passion that they get from those wrestlers, I mean, they were just off the chain. And I think Taz said that he's seen them rowdy, but he had never seen them like that before. He had never seen an audience, and he threw that cap out there. They threw that shit back. They wanted no part of him. And when you have that type of passion from a fan base, and when you have that type of passion alive in any type of promotion, you really hit on something. The only problem is with that what you experience with FCW, that is a pure experience, and that's what I was telling the brother that was on here a couple weeks ago. See, when